Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Welcome back, my friend. This is BjjBrick Quick. Coming at you today. My name is Byron. Talking about jiu-jitsu. Talking a little bit about Mt Kilimanjaro, which my wife and I just recently climbed. Got to the summit. We submitted the mountain. A little different than that. One thing I noticed on that mountain, and it didn't take long, is I felt like I was the weakest person on the mountain. We have a guide who it appears didn't struggle one bit. Now we had actually two guides, and one of them got sick on like the third day and had to go down. But before that he was doing great. We have was required as a few porters, people who will carry some gear, tents, some food, and that sort of thing. Really, my wife and I have done a decent amount of backpacking where you set out, like we go to the Grand Canyon, we start on the North Rim and we hike down into the bottom of the Grand Canyon and spend a couple of days, and then we hike up on the south end of the Grand Canyon, and we have all the things that we need on our backs. That wasn't the case with this. It's not what you do at this mountain. You're required to hire a few people to be like porters, and it's good employment for them. It's a great job opportunity for them. And in COVID, they really haven't had much work, so our porters were super happy to be employed, and big smiles and in great moods, and it's just fun to get to meet some people who will work so hard, and really, unfortunately, not for a whole lot of money, although you tip people at the end, and they really appreciate that as well. Anyway, so I was carrying a small backpack, nothing like what we would carry when we actually go backpacking. My wife was carrying a small backpack. Our guide had a decent sized backpack, and the porters would have a pretty good sized backpack, and then they would carry a load of gear with them, usually on their heads or on that space between your backpack and I guess your head, just kind of put on top of their backpack, and they would carry this additional 30 or 35 pounds of weight. And what would happen is we would leave camp before everybody else. It would be my wife and me and our guide, and we would set out. And then the porters would clean up camp and put our tents away and that sort of thing, and then pack it and put it on their head. And then they would pass us. So not only do they start later than us, is they get there before we get there to the destination. Phenomenal. And I'm not, I don't know, I'm 185 pounds maybe. I'm not a particularly large person as far as like my build goes. I don't know. I'm not scrawny, but I'm not, too hefty. I hope. These guys, they were all fairly skinny. And they were all, I told my wife like on day 3, I'm like, I feel like the weakest one here. All these guys, that I don't know if they could outlift me or not, but they're all stronger than me on this mountain. And as my wife, her body adapted to the mountain better than mine. And we would see that, every day, every night, and every morning when they take our oxygen saturation, she would have 10 points on me consistently on her blood levels of oxygen. And it's like, okay, she's doing better than me. I'm suffering here. And she wasn't comfortable either, but it was just, I was doing worse. It's like, I am the weakest one on the mountain. And yeah, there's, hundreds of people on the mountain. But in our group, I felt like I was the weakest one, and I probably was. To watch all these kind of skinny guys just do so much better than me and make it look easy, and I, even though I'm getting it done, I have less weight on me, and I'm not quite as happy as them. I'm not singing songs and making the jokes I would usually make. It was hard, and it was a weird spot to be, like the weakest one in the group. That was a kind of an ego blow to me a little bit. Like, everybody handled this better than me. And I like, okay, let's drag this onto the mats, off the mountain. The things that make me sometimes a stronger person in a group, like physical size or strength or, whatever, they weren't there for me. We're on a mountain. All the people, except for my wife, survive off that mountain. That's their job. That's their office. My wife, her body just adapted better than mine. It could have been either way around, but she happened to do better. But, you take somebody to the mats, and they might be physically gifted at another sport or, just in general, they're a good athlete. But they're going to have that little bit of a feeling of, I suck at this. I'm struggling with this. That's why I think jiu-jitsu is hard for a lot of people who are athletic. They're not used to that. You can't just be strong and do great on the mountain. You can't just be strong, not that I'm not strong, and do great on the mats. It takes time. And as I got to know some of these porters, some of them have been to the top of the mountain, well over 50 times. This is my first time. Of course it's hard for me. Of course it is. If you're new at jiu-jitsu and you're a physically gifted person, of course it's difficult. You're doing a new thing. Get on the mat, do some struggling, do some suffering. Find a way to make it fun. You'll get better. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, you can check us out on Patreon to support the podcast and support, per month. Really appreciate that. You also have the option to look at a audiobook, your first year at BjjJ. It's BjjBrick.com and click on the store. You can download it there. It's a couple hours long, and I walk you through your first year of jiu-jitsu. Help you climb that mountain. Hope you have a great day, and stay sweaty, my friend.